Morgan, what's up, my man? I think
What's up?
we're rocking and rolling. A lot is happening, man. We're talking behind the scenes about how embarrassing I am with social LinkedIn not responding to positive stuff, and you're sitting there laughing at me as you should. I'm laughing at myself. But for those joining in today, got the one and only Morgan J. Ingram. He's the CEO of Am Social, and I just consider him to be one of the leading experts, if not the leading expert, in how to use LinkedIn in a way that makes you look good, builds your audience, gets you meetings, and overall just hyper focused on that channel, which I think is great. And I appreciate you taking the time to do this webinar today, man. How's it going?
It's going great. I'm buzzing. I go on vacation tomorrow, so I'm already excited. So
I follow your social media, and I never seen you not excited and not buzzing, which is a good thing. You're always out there. You're always
I'm
you're on
extra.
the
I'm
table.
extra buzzing. I'm extra buzzing. I'm going somewhere I've always wanted to go. I'm going to Japan, so I've been wanting to do this for a long time. So I'm excited.
Oh, that's awesome. Our CTO just left for Japan. He left for Japan, and he's gonna come back not a single man. Let's put it that way. I don't want to. I don't want to. Throw him under the bus too much.
Yeah, you put them out there. All right.
Then you got to meet when you're out there. But Japan's gonna be great. I have a funny Japan story where I was actually thrown in jail in the airport for something that was not something I say on a webinar because it was just it was
That's outrageous.
there was a misunderstanding. So I spent 13 nights in the jail in Japan, for only for them to release me and be like, "Where do you want to go now?" And I was like, "I want to go home. Please take me to the airport." But that's a different story for a different time. But you know what happened.
That could be crazy. Yeah, I got to know that one.
For those of you who tuned in, we're going to go over the 5 simple steps of mastering social selling. I want you to come away from really how to define your ICP and the message, so every connection and conversation is relevant. I want you to come away from this webinar with conversation plays like that earn replies from voice notes, video outreach, smart connecting that builds trust, not the kind of connecting that earns you a unconnect and a block. I do that often. But I would say that like 50% of my connection requests I receive, it's it's a immediate connection removal. Sometimes a block. You don't want to do that. And maybe a simple content and engagement workflow that turns into LinkedIn to a daily pipeline engine. And I think one of the things that I want to talk to on this webinar that might be a little bit different is, I'm always listening to your content and learning more from a pipeline building perspective, right? Maybe at the end we could also talk a little bit about how candidates can also use this to land jobs, right? Because earning a meeting for a potential buyer is very similar to earning a meeting for a potential hire, if that makes sense. But Larry, the mic's yours, man. And maybe you could start off by giving us a little high level of how you got here, how you became the king of LinkedIn, and let's rock and roll.
I wouldn't say all that. I think there's still a lot to learn. I would say all that. I'll take it. I receive it. I receive it. So my experience of what I'm going to talk about today is me starting off as a sales development rep. If you have no idea what that means or what it is, it's someone that is a hunter where you are doing typically probably cold outbound, a cold call or a cold email, a cold LinkedIn DM to schedule and book a meeting to hand off to a closer. And typically those are kind of account executives, but every organization is different. So today we're going to talk about what 5 things you need to think about to be successful in order to do that. And so I'll start with so to kind of take a step back in my career, I've probably sent, I don't know, probably over 100,000 messages probably at this point. I don't know the exact number, but it's a lot because I've been doing it since 2016. And
That's why you're the king.
yeah. And I think also as well, I've coached my team. Actually, we're talking about today, like how many people that I coached since 2016. It's got to be like, we were saying like 200,000 ish people. So I'm just telling y'all like the stats over time, right? And so through the mistakes, through the success, through talking to a lot of people, if you follow these 5 C's I'm talking about, this will allow you to be successful. So we'll go through each one and we'll break them down, and Amir will probably have questions for me. But the first thing that you need to start with out of our 5 C's is what we call it here at AMP is clarity. Because you can't create content, you can't reach out to people, you can't know who to reach out to if you don't have clarity first. So most people call that ICP or ideal customer profile. But really, at the end of the day, some people call this avatar. It's just who are you going after that is more likely to buy. And the more granular you can get, the better. So I'll give you an example of mine. So I could tell you, yeah, I sell to VPs of sales and CROs, but that's like super broad. That could mean a lot of different industries. That could mean different company sets. What I found is that, hey, I'm talking to sales leaders, VPs of sales, CROs, CMOs that are facing an obstacle or problem where they have a lot of inbound coming in, yet they don't have an outbound motion, or working with people that are brand new to outbound and they're scaling up their company. And then also, I found another unique point for me is people that are looking to revamp their outbound because it hasn't been what it needs to be. So basically, it's like a spray and pray, very over the top method. So I know that going in, and I know who to look for, and I know who to talk to. So when I hear certain things, I'm like, that's for me. If I don't, then I know other people that would work with those individuals. It's very, very important for every single person for you to have that level of clarity and to be that precise when you're understanding and looking at targeting people in your ICP. Who are the buyer personas? What are the buyers, and how are you actually going about that? So when you're on LinkedIn, you can send the right connection request. Because if you're sending the wrong connection request, you're just going to have a network full of people that aren't going to buy your stuff anyway. So that's the first C that we'll start with.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And that's it's often overlooked, right? And I think you probably will go into this too, that oftentimes your profile needs to read back to that ICP as well, right? Where you probably, I don't know what your headline says, but it probably says something along the lines of like how you help VPs of sales. It might not, right? But if they're also kind of looking, they're at the same time that you're looking for an ICP, someone on the receiving end is quickly looking probably to see that you're matching that language at the same time, right? Which makes sense.
Which leads into, it naturally leads into the point number 2, which is the second C, which is connect. So I'm going to go ahead and speak on this because you mentioned the headline. So this is something I'm seeing a lot still. I don't know why this continuously happens. I don't know who trains on this. It's not me. So I don't know what's going on. But you see it probably too. A lot of reps still have SDR, AE, whatever in their headline. And I keep telling people to stop doing that because 1, that's not searchable. 2, when you think about this, when you send a connection request and people see that, they're not going to engage with you. There's no reason for them to have their conversation with you because they're going to see, oh, SDRAE, I want nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
That's not what you want in the reaction of the people that you're looking to get in front of and talk to. So another cautionary tale that I'm giving you all is make sure, and when you go to the second C, which is connection, we want to connect with as many people on LinkedIn as possible that are within this ICP so that we can create a halo effect. The more mutual connections I have to reach in front of my buyers, the more likely they're going to accept. That's the reason personally why it's easier for me to reach out to certain people because I have 100, 200 mutual connections with most people I'm looking to talk to. So they're like, oh yeah, well if Morgan's going to connect with me, there's probably a reason behind that, right? So that's like a huge, huge factor that will lead to the success that you're looking for. But you will not be able to do that if you're not focused on that. So that's just something to keep in mind, take in consideration is when you look at connect. So mine, if you look at mine today, mine is outbound. And then there's like an arrow that points to revenue for B2B teams that want results. It's very straightforward. It's like, if you're looking to get better outbound, I'm going to help you turn that outbound in those meetings into revenue. And then we're going to help you get results. Like it's so straightforward. That's what I'm ultimately focused on. And obviously that helps more people I connect with. But again, when it comes to connection, make sure you do that. The last thing I'll say there tactically is when you are reaching out to people on LinkedIn, I recommend using the blank connection requests. A lot of people disagree with me on that one. And LinkedIn also says to do that. I'm just telling you what the data says. I'm working with reps all the time and they're telling me the blank works better. So look, I'm not the one. I'm not the one.
I agree. I'll agree with you on that one. I think the blank works better as well because it's like less. I think you kind of honed in on what you're saying in the sense that like people are expecting to be pitched. Don't make it easy for them to feel that way. If your title says that, you might be given a title, SDR, account executive, but what you're given also can impact your ability to do your job. It's a weird way where it's like, hey, you're an SDR and AE, you need to do meetings and sales, but then that title can hurt you from your goal. So that's a hot topic. Like, should you as an SDR AE put your title? Should you make it just partnerships? I know of a friend of mine where every SDR in his company is just a partnership manager or director of partnerships, which I think makes sense because it's like, partnerships are more, when someone says partnership, it's less like, hey, I'm trying to make a meeting to sell you, right? And sometimes you just don't want to be automatically rejected, if that makes sense, even if you've got a good product, right? So it's like, I guess me and you are not here to tell people, hey, change your title from what your job is saying. But I guess, would you say it's safe to have that conversation at least and come forth to your hiring manager and say, hey, I know my goals are XYZ. I think my title might hamper that. Would you be okay with me putting partnership manager? Is that something that you recommend people have a conversation with their manager or hiring manager about?
Yeah, so partnership manager, specialist, those are the ones that you have out there. Before you go to your manager, though, make sure you have other examples of reps that have done this. Don't just be like, I think I should change this and have no facts. That's not going to help you. Come in with facts, come in with examples of other people doing it.
Morgan and Amir said this on this webinar.
Yeah, exactly. Just come with facts. Like, don't be like, I think this would be right. Be like, no, I heard someone say this. I've seen this with other reps. This is my use case, and this can make things easier for your life.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think I find that because it's true. And then back to what you said about like no message. I like no message because it gives a person the opportunity to. It almost feels like when there's a message, you almost feel like, oh, I'm gonna get a message right away, And I kind of like I want to take this slow. I want to maybe just accept you, right? So like in my perspective as a receiver, whenever I see a message, I'm thinking like, I'm probably gonna get sold. And when I don't see a message, I'm like, this person just saw me as a suggested connection, like my profile and connected. And I think that feels like a better way to connect, to accept a connection than like, oh, I'm this guy's target audience. He took the time to message me. A message before the message.
I will say this. The time where you want to personalize is if you met someone at an event or someone told you to go talk to somebody and you add that note in. Both of those are applicable states. If it's not those things, then I would recommend not to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree with you. I agree with you completely. When it comes to like since we're talking to ICP, right? And we're talking about building an audience, do you recommend people work their first degree connections first? And by work, I mean engage, having conversations, or do you recommend people approach people that are secondary connections?
I would say both. I don't see why you couldn't do both. But
what would you get to prioritize?
I pick the first degree. I pause because it depends on what role you're in and what you're doing. Like if you're brand new, then you need to build first degree. So that's gonna take time from there. If you're an account executive, you should be using first degrees anyways to get referrals and connections of. Too. I just think that a lot of times we ask either or when we should just do both. Like, what's stopping you from doing both? You should be reaching out to people at first degree and you should be connecting people at second degree, and it should compound over time. Both of them work.
Well, this comes up to a good question because I think why I asked it, because a lot of people are using tools to automate, and there are limitations to first degree messages you could send per day or activities. And in a way, seeing your response, I would guess that you don't recommend automation tools, which is okay. So I want to actually talk about that. Like, what like is everything that you do recommended to be just organic, or are you seeing people using? Because like there's been a lot of automation tools for a long time, right? We all know that. We all know it's it's one of those catch-22s where like done with quality, okay, maybe not ethically bad. Done to like take there's it's a gray area, but it's definitely illegal from LinkedIn's perspective. But like, does that change the answer? Like, would you recommend anybody who wants to become an expert at social selling just stay off the tools and just put in the work?
You should always put in the work first before you do anything. And to add more emphasis to this is that everyone immediately wants to go and automate something as soon as you or someone else shares advice. And I tell them that's a terrible mindset and approach because you don't even know if this works or not. So it's like, why are we automating something we don't even know that works yet? I don't have anything against automating something. I'm against you automating it and you don't even know if it works yet. So my rule with this is you need to have 100 positive responses to something before you even give yourself the right to automate it. If you don't have 100 positive replies, it isn't good enough to automate. And I think that we just need to start doing that because people just want to automate because the laziness that is out there, and you want to do this at some volume. You need to get in the trenches transparently and just send the DMs yourself. And I'm also saying this is so I do this. Like I still send DMs when I want to like try something new. I'm manually doing it before I'm like, hey, let's automate this thing. If you get too caught up in trying to automate too early, you're just going to burn through the ICP and no one's going to engage with you. And now you're stuck. I don't recommend it at all.
Well, no, you gave a good answer, right? I don't think your answer was whether you recommend or whether or not. It was like, hey, this is the right way to do it, right? It was like, if you're going to do this, you should at least do 100, get 100 responses before you automate that. And I think that is something that people who are listening could take away as a framework for when to automate, if to automate, right? Because those are questions you need to ask yourself, when and if, right? And
Right.
I like your answer because it's like, if you want to automate, it should be after 100 positive responses, and then because the byproduct of that is that you're going to probably automate something that people want to hear, right? So you're not going to get 100 positive responses without the message being good, right, or at par, or what your ICP is. Then you're like, once you see that people want to hear that message, right, then you might want to automate that, right, which I think is fair, but it's like you got to put the work in first to get the right to scale it, right, if that makes sense. Like, yeah. So that's awesome. That's a big takeaway for me. I tend to agree with you on that. I think one of the things that people listening here too will also come to say, like, look, Amir, you got 30,000 plus 35,000 followers. Morgan, you got 150,000. Easy for you guys to say, right? It's always that chicken or the egg kind of comment, right? And I think what you have is you got the people who are like, I don't know where to start, right? They have it's almost like a cold start problem that exists even like in marketplaces like mine, where, what would you say to somebody who just doesn't think that they can do social selling because their LinkedIn profile or connection just aren't right there yet, right? Like, do you see that often? And are you coaching, training that when people come to you?
Yeah. So my thing is that like I want you all to just ignore where we're at today and acknowledge where we had to start. I didn't start with 180,000
You didn't
followers.
start as the LinkedIn king.
Yeah, I didn't start like that. So that's where I think people forget the beginning and they only want to acknowledge what it is now. So it's easier for people to make an excuse to not do something, just to be transparent. Just be like, oh, well, you're already there, so I'm not gonna do that. It's like, no, like let's take a step back. Like this is where it started. So the way that I look at this is it's a simple 3 steps. Number one is you go back to clarity, right? And say, who am I going after? If you don't know that, then there's AI, there's other stuff, like figure that out. Number 2 is if you have sales nav, if you don't, it doesn't really matter. Go on LinkedIn and go find these people and send them connection requests. Then number 3, which is the third C we'll talk about here in a minute, is conversation, which is start DMing these people. Videos, voice notes, asking questions, starting dialogue. That's how you start. I literally, like, it's funny because I was talking to my friend literally yesterday. No, I talked to him last month, and he's like, he was trying to overthink the DMs, and he was telling me like, oh, easy for you. And I was like, dude, just send DMs. Come back to me in 30 days. I didn't guarantee you send DMs, you'll make money. He's already closed 50K in revenue.
Yeah.
Just because like people overthink this. Like, these are very simple steps. If you take those steps, it's inevitable that you'll get a result. But if you sit here, overthink it, this person has this, I'm not going to make it, you won't, because you're not doing anything. You have to take action and DM. So those are 3 simple things to do, like right now.
I think that makes sense to me. I think my problem is doing things too fast. If anything, I need to slow down. So if anybody who's listening to this needs a little bit of encouragement, feel free to reach out to me, and I'll coach you through that.
Well, even okay, let's make it even more simple. I'll make it even more simple for people. I know that if you follow him, Alex, when he says DM 100 people a day, that might be extremely daunting for most people. So let's like take that all the way back. Do 20 DMs a day. That's actually not that difficult at all. I think you should do way more than that. But like, let's say it's 20 a day. So if you did 20 a day, that's 100 in a week. That's 400 in a month. After 400 DMs that you sent, you're going to figure out what works and what doesn't, just by default of the volume of what you're doing. So again, a lot of this just comes down to, are we willing to do the work that may make us look foolish, and are we willing to go through that, let's say, pain threshold of learning something new? But once we learn it, it's a skill we'll have forever, and we'll always be able to do something with it. That's just the way I think about it.
Makes sense to me. I think what a lot of people are listening is they want to, they're listening because they want to start, they want to try, right? They're not the people who gave up already are not here, right? The people who want to get, who want to get past it. The people want to come over with that. So I guess this is also another interesting question, right? Because we live in a world where a lot of people have heard of the concept of an MVP, minimal viable product, that exists in a lot of things, right? But is there an MVP when it comes to connection messages where, like, there's a rule of thumb where, like, less is more at first, right? Like, do you see a tendency where people start to connect, they start to write a Bible first, like that's the natural tendency, when in reality, shorter is always better, right?
Yeah, I'm with you. Okay, so there's a way to think about it, and then there's 3 stages within it. So you want to think about the LinkedIn DMs as an invitation rather than a solicitation. Most people that I work with, and this is not like it's not their fault, it's just the way they look at it. They're copying and pasting emails that they have, and then they're copying that into the LinkedIn messages, when it's like, that's not how we want to start the conversations. And this is just something I've realized and identified over time about how people interact too, is instead of copying and pasting your email and putting it in the DMs, you want to invite people to something that they can be a part of, but not hardcore press them on it. So what are the 3 things that you would do? Number 1 is inviting them to a webinar that you have coming up. Most companies have that, or something like this. I'm inviting them to see information. Number 2 is I'm sharing with them a lead magnet or asset that we have, or an assessment of that nature, or we can invite them to something that is maybe in person, right? So those are the things you can do. And then the third is I'm inviting them to a conversation based on a question I have about their persona, or I'm inviting them to a conversation based on what I observed on what they're doing. And so what does that mean? We have something called the observation framework, and it's a 5-step framework. And part of the steps are, let's observe something that happened within their company, or with the person, or with the persona. Do we have context on why that observation happened? Can we relate to a pain point that would occur based on that? Is there a value prop that relates to that pain point based on what we found? And then is there a call to action for them to move forward, right? So those are 3 things, right? Either I'm inviting them to a virtual event, I'm inviting them in person to an assessment, lead magnet, etc. Or 3, I'm asking them a question, or I'm sending a message, right, that would lead to them being interested because I did an observation. If you're not doing a level of observation, you're just like batching and blasting and making stuff up, that's not going to lead to the results that ultimately you're looking for.
And that's a 5-step framework, right?
Yeah, the observation framework is observation, context, pain point, value prop, or power move is what we call it, or CTA. It's CTA.
Have you ever considered a 6th called help? I know a guy named David Manjura. He happens to be our chief RevOps officer, and he does something called the Manjura method, where he notices like a 404 error or a spelling mistake or a problem, and you'd be like, "Hey Morgan, what's up? Check your website out. Notice this link wasn't working. Wanted to give you a heads up." Have you ever heard of that, the Manjura method? And it's something that you ever seen work out there and consider? And I don't want to change your 5-work framework. It's hard to go from the king to the super king. I'm gonna shake up, bro.
So the method, so that's not okay. So put it this way, that's a great tactic.
Okay,
but method wise, would that work holistically with every org? It would not.
Yeah.
Not every org would do that tactic, right? So the thing is, it's a great tactic. I like that. Makes sense. But when I think about frameworks, it's universal. Every single person can do what I just said. It doesn't matter what country that you can follow that. That is what you mentioned. That is a tactic that can work very well. But if you don't have a product,
there's a variable. If problem, yes, right? So
100%. So I'm with it. Like, that makes sense. But
So maybe we could shift that to like the like when you really want to talk to someone and you can't get to them with the framework using, maybe that's like the final touch is like try to do the Manjura method, right? And I'm just,
Yeah, the Manjura method is a tactic, but also your product or service has to relate to whatever you found broken. Because if you just say that, then it's like,
I would push back and say that you are right if you were skipping to the is there a opportunity here to have a deal open. I would state that if you're doing approach first of let's have a conversation and build a relationship to learn more, that tactic could maybe help you get that conversation going. Now, obviously, I'm in a very different position because when I reach out to people, I'm able to really focus on them and how I can help them through my network first. They obviously know, they'll find out Amir owns a talent marketplace. I hope that they, would consider us, right? But sometimes, I think we live in a world where, like, especially even me, and I mean this in like a very nice way, like, I know that sellers need meetings. I know what their job is. There are times where, like, if someone's super helpful for me,
yeah,
I might take the meeting knowing that I'll never buy their product, but knowing that I'll be like, I appreciate what you did. If you need any help, if you have any questions, because like sometimes it's a world where we look at every connection request as either somebody potentially hiring us or someone buying from us. But there's also a way of looking at it where, like, sometimes this relationship could be save me, could help him or the person in the next life, right? Which I feel like that's a tactic that's like for the people playing the long game, right? But that's kind of who I'm talking to, if that makes sense, I guess it's
we're going to the 1 to 3%.
I know. I know. I am. Look, I am talking. I am talking to
a population. They're gonna be like, "Yeah, I don't have time for that."
I agree with you.
But I hear what you're saying.
I agree with you. I agree with what you're saying, right? But that it's without the 1 to 3%, we would have nobody to sell to, right? Because it's those people that both. It's like a positive feedback loop, right? Where they end up becoming a business owner, and we can get some pipeline from them, right? So, so anybody listening, if you want to talk about the 1 to 3%, like hedge cases, DM me. I do some weird stuff over here. But I'm playing the long game. I might have known Morgan for 9 years. And then, me and Morgan, I don't think we've ever we've known each other for 9 years. I ran into you in Apollo. I ran into an event in San Francisco, maybe a couple of weeks ago. And we were able to say, hey, I got this amazing audience of candidates. I think they could learn a lot from you when it comes to the jobs they have. And you were like, yeah, it's great. I love helping. Right. So like, that was the 1 to 3% of us, playing the long game of, being friends and being networked. But I think to anybody listening to this that, there's nothing wrong with framing yourself as potentially playing the long game, and you might benefit from it, you might not, but reeling it back into I need to get results today for my job, right? What do you think about a voice note or a video as the first message, or do you prefer text? Or is it a permission-based thing where it's like, hey, Morgan, glad we're connected. Do you mind if I send you a quick voice note? Like, what from an actual statistic standpoint do you see working the best for people out there?
So my answer is starting to change on this. I will used to tell you to lead with video and voice notes, and they do work. I'm just finding that people are more willing to respond to like a 1 to 2 liner sentence. And what I mean by that is it's something really quick that they can read or a question to start the conversation. And then once the conversation is started, then we can start incorporating videos and voice notes. So my tune has changed in the last couple months. This is just data I've seen from working with people. I don't have I've done 1,000. I haven't done that yet. But I'm just telling you what I'm seeing for people and the feedback from reps in the trenches that are doing it. So I'm going to listen to them more than me because they are the people that have the best outputs for everybody to understand. Yeah. So my take is videos and voice notes you should be doing because it's going to make you more human. At the same time, leading with it, I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I would just recommend you should lead with something that's like a question or something permission-based to get them to say yes or whatever. So then now they're more bought in to then allow you to send that video or whatever it is. That is what I'm currently seeing working very well. I would also recommend for you to A/B test everything I'm saying because every persona and buyer is different. But yeah, leading with that one to
I
two.
was going to bring that up
Yeah, but
in the sense that, like, you know, like, because we're talking about building your persona, right? We're talking about in order the framework you're doing, right? And then it's like when you ask that question, it's a hard answer because they didn't do the experiment. They didn't do they didn't get the 100 replies yet, right? So it's like, how could you answer that question, right? And it almost like what I'm extracting from you, and you obviously correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want to put words in your mouth. Is like maybe there's an opportunity to mix up your approaches from permission based text to video to voice and see these results because based on your profile, your company, and your persona, there is no definite answer. But after doing 100 repetitions, you might find a pattern.
exactly. That's exactly it. Like there's a mix that's different for everybody. Some people leave a video do very well. I'm just seeing that like when people start with a very like 1-2 liner conversation starter to get people talking, that seems to work better than just leaning in with the video and voice note. I'm not saying that's wrong. I still believe in that. I'm just saying what I'm seeing happen more often that's leading to more conversations. Because the more dialogue and conversations we can have, the more we can convert off those conversations that are being had.
And all of this for anybody listening, these are not trick questions. You are a fucking scientist, excuse my language, when you're into just sales. There's never gonna be one thing. I'm like, I'll be honest, like I thought I was this, you know, I thought I was this business development expert, and I got back into LinkedIn and like, you know, my first message is like, I thought they were amazing. And then like 2 weeks later, I looked at it and I was like, I wrote this. I was like, how did I write this? Right. And without going to market and seeing the responses, I wouldn't have been able to make that change. Because I would say this, that like LinkedIn and sales can be very humbling, right? And it'd be very humbling fast where you can like think something makes a lot of sense and it doesn't, right? And you know, I'll talk to some things that have worked for me, and you know, I guess everyone has a different angle, right? It took me a while. It took me going door to door selling vacuum cleaners and water coolers at age 22 to become a founder. So like everyone thinks you're just a founder, and you know, easy for you to say, right? But obviously I wasn't. I was putting in the work for them. But I have a message where like, hey Morgan, what's up? You know, founder to founder, it'd be great to connect. There's like, I even say it. I'm like, there's so much AI and spam out there that people have lost like the ability to just connect on a real level. And I'm going back to old school humanity. And like, I'll tell you right now, in my first 3 connections, I had a 25% reply rate and a 70% positive. And it's ironic because even some people will be like, I'm not interested. And I'll be like, my message was like, let's connect a network. And I'll be like, not interested in connect. Like people are so used to you trying to sell something that they're trying to figure it out right away. And they're not, and like I'm in a position where like I can focus on people, I can give back and earn, but like I said before, it takes repetition, it takes work to earn there. Like Morgan did not start as being the CEO of Am Social. He started as being an SDR, and he started by experimenting thousands of people before he went on to train, you know, over 200,000 people. Do you think that AI and automation is an opportunity for those social sellers that are willing to put in the work, or do you think it's hurting them?
You think social selling is hurting people?
No. Do you think AI and automation is an opportunity for social sellers to take advantage by not doing what everyone else is doing and being human? Or do you think that it hurts their ability to do their job being human?
So yeah, I've been having a lot of conversations with this outside of social. I haven't really said this out loud anywhere, so this is my true thought process on this right now. I feel like because so many people are so I don't even know. It's kind of weird. People are very obsessed with AI in like a weird way. I've never seen this level of obsession, and people still don't know what it is. That I think it's gonna cook most people because most people are just pulling out the averages of AI to automate something that is again the average. So when I look at what everyone else is doing, I try to figure out what is the opposite of that and focus more on like how do I truly connect with people on a human level while everyone else is so driven and so focused on how do I automate this and scale it to some crazy degree. So I think the social sellers that will win will be like, all right, cool. Let me think about mainly how I can do this. Why am I getting responses? What's going on? Truly being a scientist. And then using that information to then put it into AI for sure. But I think, again, people are moving so fast into just being like, I'm going to use AI immediately, but they forget that they forget the skills and the fundamentals of what to do, in my opinion.
So I agree with you, and I kind of like loaded up this question to get to this answer, and I apologize for doing that. I shouldn't have. But I agree with the fact that the obsession with AI and AI done correctly is an opportunity for those that want to be human and put in the work. How long that opportunity will last, whether it's 8 months, 6 months, 12 months, 24 months, we don't know, right? Like I'm obviously betting that like AI gets better, but I think that now is a really good time for people to be human. It's a really good time for people to do voice notes and do videos. And it's a really good time to almost say that like, I'm not AI, I'm not a robot. Like I'm a real person. And I really like what you got going on. Right. So I kind of set you up for that, Morgan. But I'm glad we both agreed.
I could have been like, no.
You like processed my question for a second, thought about it, but it was a pure setup. But I think I think it's like me and you as leaders in CEO companies, we're also doing a lot of founders led growth, right? And that's kind of why we're able to talk about this. It's like we're practicing what we preach, right? And like obviously, I look up to you as the king of social media, right? And to learn from, right? I've been following your lead quietly for years with the voice notes and videos. I just been keeping my mouth quiet, right? I think people need to take advantage of the fact that it's a good time to be human until it's not, if that makes sense, and things will keep changing, right?
They will.
Say?
I said they will. I just think at the end of the day, like, again, you have to just look at what's going on. Everyone's so obsessed with AI, but no one really knows what it even means or what to do. So you either can be like, I'm going to be really good at AI. That's the other route. Or you can be really good at the human connection. My belief is that so many people are just going to get so overwhelmed with AI that learning the human connection will just be better for you in the long run. And just understanding how to have presence in the market, which is why if you're doing social selling, it's going to help you because it's just going to get harder. Email domains are going to continuously block people. I don't know. They got the screens on the phone calls now. It's just getting crazier.
Yeah, I agree. And this is a good comment from Jay about solving problems first and sell second. This has a lot to do with like, how you message people. Like, I'll just add to this, Jay. Appreciate the comment, but like, show people that their industry's business challenge, right? Like, if you're reaching out to Elon Musk and Starlink, you probably might start off with being like, titanium metals can break during high pressure reentries, just yeah, you get what I'm saying. Like, show a little bit of like the fact that like you understand. So Jay, appreciate that dropping. Talk to me. You brought up some of these triggers and these frameworks. Like, what do you say to an SDR out there that doesn't have a company that has good content, that has webinars, that has these offers? The only offer they gave them is book a meeting. What do you say to that person? Because that exists, right? That's a lot of companies. It's a hey, we got 20 developers out here. We're a development agency. Go book a meeting. What do you say to those SDRs that are not given the hooks that come off less salesy, right? If that makes sense.
Wait, so define that. You're saying like hooks as in like in their
like my company doesn't have a webinar. They don't have a blog. They don't do this stuff. They're sending me out with a quota for booking 15 meetings a month. All I got is that. Like, is it like, yeah, the hard job, right? Like when you're not given the support,
So I'm a very simple person in life. I think we try to create these either ors and this is better than that. Like there's some level of that, sure. But like the answer most of the time is like, you just need to be doing both things. So if your company doesn't have content, become the content. Like just take ownership of it. We're in a world right now where if you want to go do something, there's a high chance you can just go do it and just figure it out. So yes, if you've been given your outbound number, you have the first 3 C's that can do that. But the 4th C is actually the most important one, which is comment. And that doesn't mean you need to do 1,000 comments a day. That's not what I'm saying. Is that it goes back to what you said. It goes back to, I think Jay said it, is you're not going to understand anything about business problems or the customer or whatever if you're not reading and absorbing what's happening in the industry. And the only way to really do that is to go proactively find the information to do so. Now, you can go in AI and you can have the information served up to you, or you can proactively search it. You can do whatever you want. But my whole point is that you need to engage and comment on those things. And by engaging and commenting on those things, you will then gain a perspective enough to then go to the 5C, which is creating content. But here's the thing. You don't actually need to create content. That's the biggest problem that people have right now. They want to create content. most of you actually do not want to create content. The amount of cycles you have to go through to create original content is very difficult. I've done 9 years of content, so what? I don't know, like 5,000 posts probably easy. I'm not saying everyone should or will do that, but what you can do is be a curator. So when we coach people, we tell them to be a curator rather than a creator. Go find things in your industry, a blog post, an interview, it doesn't really matter. Give your perspective on what you learned about it. And not only will you learn more about the industry, you now have created content for yourself, and now you're creating presence in the marketplace. So now you're more credible for the people you're looking to target. These are, again, very simple things to do, to be honest with you. And I'm not saying that this is going to be like every rep has to do this. I'm just saying you're going to have an edge in the long run based on what's currently happening in the market. I'm not saying it's going to be like tomorrow you need to do this. I'm just saying you might as well do it now before things get more difficult, because they will be.
Yeah, I'm like, it's also too like I tell you right now, it's we're talking about focus really on being an SDR, generating pipeline with social media. I'd like to touch base a little bit on how people can get a job with LinkedIn. Keep it real brief, but I also want to bring this up because I'm working with somebody named Eric Lay, who you might know. He's the CEO of a company called Virio.ai. I had a chance of meeting with him in San Francisco a couple weeks back. And he was actually, it's ironic, he he's got some in-office, really awesome positions that are very high paying, and they're very good jobs. And he's looking for people that have big social media audiences, right? And I actually had a friend who asked me to put him together with this person to apply to those jobs. And he had all of the qualifications, all the skill sets, all of everything, besides he was not working his LinkedIn profile for the last 8 years. And because he didn't have a lot of connections or followers, and he wasn't pushing on that, he got rejected before even in the interview. So I also think that, we live in a world too where, like, even before you get the job, you might actually start being judged by your social media, if not already. So it's almost like a pre-job thing where, like, it's no longer almost optional to have, and like you said before, you don't have to create your own content. You could be resharing other people's contents, right? So there's no excuse, I think, anymore. Good.
Yeah, just think about it, right? Like, I'm not saying this is the easiest job in the world, but like, it's a pretty smooth job. Is being a weather reporter. Oh, like, I'm not discrediting this job. I'm just saying
20,000 jobs hired by Microsoft. This sucks. What do you see out there? Yeah, it's like
you just pull it up. They give you the weather and you report the weather.
Yeah.
So again, what's a curator? You're just reading information in your industry and you're just reporting on what you heard and giving your perspective. That's all you're doing. And people love the weather people.
Yeah, and look, I brought this up because this person can't even qualify for a $500,000 office job because he wasn't doing the easy work, right? Because he wasn't like being a news reporter, right? So like, even a lot of people listening to this, we're talking about tactical things to do while you have your job, right? How to get results, but like, you got to build your profile even before you get that job. It's a chicken or egg thing, right? Because now it's gonna be easier for you to get the job and easier for you to do your job, right? When you have that profile, right? Which makes sense. What would you say to anybody out there that's like looking to get into remote sales, business development, social media? Do you recommend that people apply to jobs on applications, or do you recommend people use your same framework, but to say, hey, my name's Morgan, here's my profile, would love to work for your company, or do you know anybody else? Can you apply this to getting a job?
100%. During the unfortunate time of 2021, 2022, this is the advice I gave to people that help them get jobs. So if you're looking for a job, I do this. My advice might be heavily unorthodox to other people's, but I'm just telling you what works and what I recommend to do. First and foremost, I would apply to 0 places. I think applying is ultimately like a waste of time, because it's just, especially now, people could literally create anything with AI. So they could create an AI resume. It's the application.
You're writing your resume with AI, and then AI is reading it.
Yeah, it's like I personally believe there's no point in applying for something. So what should you do? Step number 1 is, first of all, you need to figure out where you want to go. Don't treat this as like, I don't know. Don't treat this like a buffet, or like, I don't know, we'll just put it in here, like a dating app, and you're just swiping around. Like, don't do that. Like, be like, hey, here are the 15 companies that I really want to work for. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is go find the role that you want. Click the role. Inside the role, they have something called typically your responsibilities or what you're tasked with.
Mm-hmm.
Read through the things that they are telling you that you're going to be tasked with. Then step 3, don't reach out to the recruiter. Go reach out to the hiring manager or people that are actually on this team. So if you're in a remote sales, go reach out to the account executives and the SDRs on LinkedIn. And that's a 99% acceptance rate because they're always trying to accept people. And then I would be like, hey, I'm looking to get this job as an account executive. These are the 5 things that they're telling me that I need to pay attention to. So out of these things, which one actually matters in this organization today? They'll give you the answer. And then I would find out what makes me unique to address these things that they care about, that I can stand out. And I would send the message to all the managers. And out of the 15 companies, one of them will hire you. Because everything I just told you, nobody does.
I agree with everything you said. Some of these are no longer optional, right? And I'll be a little bit strong here. It's like it's not an option anymore not to have a highly active, curated LinkedIn if you want to be a professional, right? It's not optional. It's not optional not to follow the framework you mentioned. It's not optional to try to automate something before you get a positive responses on a process you tested 100%. None of this is optional anymore. And it's not optional to just continue to apply to job openings thinking that you're going to out AI the AI bot, because you're not. It's going to be 1 out of 1,000 applications. And what about the 999 people, right? And that's why, for us, this is so critical because, we speak to hundreds of thousands of people that have, they're based everywhere, right? I talk to people in the States. Everybody thinks that everybody in America just works for Salesforce, and that's not true. If you go to San Francisco, it's probably 1% of the population's working remotely or in the office for technology companies, right? So there's millions of people in America right now in big cities, small cities, little cities that they can work a B2B tech job or a SaaS job or an AI powered job or a service job, and all of these skills apply, right? And there's people also in Latin America I talk to every day. There's people in Africa every day I talk to. There's people in APAC I talk to, and it's the same common thing, right? Like if you have your SHIT together on a social media presence that reflects who you are as a person, who you can help, your life's going to be a lot easier than competing against the person who doesn't. Because even guess what? AI, if you do apply with your AI written resume to a AI written bot, I guarantee you it's going to look at your social media profile. And I guarantee you that if you have the same experience and one person has more followers, more connections, and either creates content or repurposes content or comments, I guarantee you're going to win. I want to add some funny story about my friend. I don't want to play the voice note. My friend Chris, the friend who got rejected. He got rejected because he didn't have that crazy profile. I posted his profile video on my LinkedIn yesterday, and he literally sent me a voice note saying, Amir, ironically, a company saw that video you posted and reached out to me directly because they knew me. So they didn't even know this guy Chris was looking for a job. He's in the same town. He doesn't know them. I'm here in Medellin, Colombia, posting a video of him repurposing his content on my LinkedIn. Now they have an interview, right? So, and that goes to like the comments you make. People are seeing your stuff, right? Like you might want to, do you want to penetrate a company? Make some comments for a month first, right? Like let them like get your visibility. You'd be surprised who sees you. I would go off the bat and say that I don't even think that LinkedIn's actual KPIs are accurate, because I get so many more people saying they saw my content than the numbers show it, right? Like I think there's more people being like, I saw you on LinkedIn versus like my numbers actually show. So like sometimes it's like, don't get discouraged if you don't see 1 million views, right? Like if every post is not, 500,000 views, like Morgan's, just joking around. If they're not rocking and rolling, don't get discouraged, because like sometimes you don't know who saw it. You don't know what's right. It takes the one right person, right? Look, Morgan, I want to continue to chat with you and help people in both ways, but I know that you run an awesome training like situation. Like, do you want to tell us about like tactically how people can reach out to you if they want to join your course, how it works, what you teach them on, and like maybe some of the results that the people in your like what they're getting?
Yeah, Amir, well, thanks for having me. Hopefully everyone else listening, you enjoyed it and took some things to go take action on. So what is AMP Social? My belief, based on my 10 years of experience in top of funnel and prospecting and things of that nature, is that social selling is the hub and the core focus that powers your multi-touch campaign outbound strategy with your cold calls and your emails. So what we do is we go inside of organizations and we have an offer called Sales Team 6, where we dive deep with the sales team, not the entire sales team, a small component of the sales team, 6 to 10 people, where we make sure that they can adopt the habits, behaviors of outbound with social selling as the main focus. So they're able to break into their top tier accounts. They're able to do the outbound motion correctly, and they can revamp or re-energize their outbound from the ground up. So that's what we're doing at Orgs. It's been fun. And yeah, if you want to talk about it, let me know.
Yeah. And Mr. Fairley, yes, we are going to share the whole recording. There's some good comments and questions, and I'm not going to go through all of them and ask, but anybody who took the time to watch this, you guys are awesome. Morgan, you're great, and really want to do this bridge this gap between the, you've trained 200,000 people. I think it should be 1 million. So I think we should take that number up, and I hope people that are listening to this can learn that it's never too late to start. In fact, there is somebody every day who's creating a new LinkedIn profile, and it's starting to grow every day. So it's never too late to start. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, you want to learn more, feel free to contact either me or Morgan. Morgan, I appreciate you, man. I'll let you go back to sending those voice notes and videos. And talk to you soon, man.
All right, y'all have a good one.